many things come to mind. First of all, you're saying that telepathy was the key form of communication before the Chitahuli, the reptilians came.
Yes.
And I guess it's like a muscle. When you use it, it gets more sensitive and more powerful. So the more you use your telepathy, the more powerful your mind got. And then when language came, it almost brought us into this three-dimensional world and disconnected us from that mind power that we had before.
Yes.
And it's also interesting that the story that you talk about, the language being given, and then the different languages being given. And of course, that turns up in the Old Testament, in the Bible. It turns up in stories all over the world about the fact that we were divided by language, so we couldn't communicate. And as someone who publishes books, I know today how difficult it is to communicate through books when you've got endless different languages. So it's been a brilliant form of control for a long time.
Yes. Even now here in South Africa, today's black people prefer to speak to each other in English if they belong to different tribes. And they have even, over the many decades, black youths have even created a lingua franca of their own, which we call Tsotsi language, which is a mixture of African words and Afrikaans words. They do this in order to bridge the incredible language gap which exists between black people in South Africa. Let me show you an amusing thing, how different languages are. The language of the Xhosa people of the Eastern Cape is very similar to Zulu, but certain important words in the Zulu language, good words, are viewed as obscenities by the Xhosa people. For example, in the language of the Zulus, an ancestral spirit is called Idlozi. But if you use that word to a Xhosa, he says you are using a dirty word, because to them, Idlozi means sexual desire. And in the language of the Zulus, maize meal, is known as impuphu. But in the language of the Bapedis, maize meal is called bupi. And if a Zulu uses the word impuphu in front of a Bapedi woman, she feels that he has insulted her, because in the Bapedi language, impuphu means a woman's sexual organ. And in the language of the Mashonas, in the language of the Zulus, a mother is called mama. If I say my mother, I say mama wami. But in the language of the Mashonas, the people of Eastern Zimbabwe, the word mama means to sit down and have a crack. So one day when I said to my Mashona hosts, ngikhumbule umama, which in Zulu is, I remember my mother, I'm missing my mother, the Mashona gentleman immediately took me and directed me to his pit latrine at the back of his house. Because in the Mashona way, mother is my, not mom. So you see this terrible difficulty, this subtle problem of language is a very big obstacle to communication in Africa. So we designed languages. There's another language called Fanagalo, which is a lingua franca consisting of African words as well as nonsense words and Zulu words, which was used a lot in the mines in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. So to bridge this great language gap, we have created artificial languages in Africa But today, English is the preferred language of communication. Some say we should learn French, also another language of communication in Africa.
Some of the problems of language can be funny, but it is the same situation, the divide and rule, that is actually, in other expressions, created this tremendous turmoil in Africa and other places in the world.
Yes.
And we're looking from my research, and staggeringly hearing you talk, you're saying exactly the same as I've come across. It's incredible confirmation that a reptilian race from another world has been behind the manipulation of humanity for a very, very long time. Now, what do these Chitahuli actually look like, the reptiles?
I'm not a good artist, sir.
You're better than me, that's for sure.
But this is how we believe the Chitahuli look like. They were created in this. You see, sir, you white people say that there are alien beings on this earth. No, you are wrong. The earth in which we live has produced 24 different races during its long existence. Please, sir, this is how a Chitahuli looks like. It stands about 11 feet high. It is a very slender being which seems not to have a bone structure. Its fingers have no joints. They are more as if the bones in here were flexible. Some of the Chitahuri have got 3 claws with a thumb. Some have got 6 claws with a thumb. And some of the Chitahuris have got horns on their heads. And what surprises me is this. Some film producers, like the producers who make the films Star Wars,
George Lucas,
often show creatures in their films which actually exist, which even the most uneducated of Africans who knows this Chitahuli can identify. For example, in the new Star Wars film, what is it called? Star Wars or something like that. There is a creature who amazes me called Darth Maul. Darth Maul is a red and black being with a ring of small horns right round his head. That is exactly what the Chitahuli look like. Some have got ordinary heads without any horns on their heads. These are the lesser Chitahuli. But the royal Chitahuli have got a ring of sharp horns all around their heads. And the very high Chitahuli, like their king, Mubaba Samahongo, they have got very long horns which grow this way. Not that way like a bull, but this way like certain antelopes. Now, I just wonder where these film producers get their information from. And in one strange film, which my student called me to come and watch, was the thing called Stargate 2. Mm-hmm. And in that film, there was a creature, a very slimy, cream-colored creature with heavy wrinkles on its face. It was a spitting likeness of Mubaba Samahongo, the terrible emperor of the Chitauri.
Well, clearly there's a tremendous amount of knowledge of what's been going on and what is going on, which comes out symbolically through films and areas of communication like Hollywood. But the thing that I'm totally stunned the more I talk to you about this is because I've been all over the world having people give me descriptions of seeing reptilian type figures, particularly people in positions of power in the world, changing into a reptilian figure and coming back again. And what they describe seeing is exactly what the knowledge of ancient Africa talks about seeing. We're talking about the same people there, which is an astonishing confirmation. And the eyes is something that keeps coming up being described. Yes. Tell me about the eyes of the Chitahuli.
Say, a warrior Chitauri has got eyes like a snake. These eyes are yellowish with split pupils and they glow in darkness. So if a Chitauri, a warrior Chitauri, one of the lesser classes, is hiding in a cave, you can see its eyes burning. But a royal Chitauri has got 3 eyes. It's got the yellow eyes, which glow in a strange, almost ice-like way, like jewels, like certain types of yellow jewel. And then they have got an eye in the center of their foreheads, an eye which doesn't close up down like a normal eye does, but which closes from side to side and which opens this way. Now this eye of the Chitauri is the eye that kills, because it can knock a man down just by the fire, the glare that comes out of it.
Is this where the a constant recurring theme of the evil eye comes from?
Yes, yes. In fact, Mubaba, the emperor of the Chitauri, who is said to be still alive today, Mubaba has got a central eye. His other 2 eyes were stitched shut by a jealous wife. But his killing eye, the Samahongo, the terrible red eye, opens. He can even open it like this. Mr. David, I would like to share a little thing with you. It is this: the best way to protect an evil thing is to deny its existence. And if you talk about things such as the Chitauri, if you talk about things such as the Mandindan, there are many people who say to you, rubbish, this thing does not exist. Now, in this way, this great evil is protected by being denied. One day in my long travels through the world, I was in New York in that place called Harlem. And I saw a graffiti on a wall along a passage. And the graffiti was, "There is no such a thing as the mafia, and we will kill any asshole who says that there is." In this, again and again, in America, people deny the existence of the mafia, and by denying it, actually protect it wittingly or unwittingly. There are those who deny that a national and international conspiracy exists. They deny it ferociously. But by denying it, they are actually assisting it and actually protecting it. We must stop denying the existence of these things. We must stop saying that there are no Chitauri, that there are no aliens, that there are no Illuminati. There are. I could tell you for hours. For example, do you know what we Zulu people call a person? A very, very clever person, a very, very wise person, a person who has received light from God. We call him umkhanyiselwa. In other words, the illuminated one. Khanyisa means to light up something. And umkhanyiselwa is somebody who has been lighted up by the gods. So you say Illuminati, I say umkhanyiselwa. It's the same thing.
And my research very clearly, and again, you're right, there's tremendous denial that this is the fact. Even among conspiracy researchers, there's tremendous denial that the Chitahuli, the Reptilians, and the Illuminati are actually the same thing.
Exactly, sir. Because amongst my people, we say that when two Chitauri are challenging each other for power, and they must fight a duel with their terrible eyes, they start glowing like fishes deep in the sea. And the faster they glow, the angrier they are said to be. Now that is why there are certain parts of Africa where people are advised not to walk at night, because that is where the Chitauri often fight. And one of these parts of Africa, say, is a remarkable place called the Mountains of the Round Rocks, Matopo, wrongly pronounced Matopo, in Zimbabwe. These hills are really not remarkable in themselves. These hills are said to be the one place in Africa where the Chitauri have been seen. And these hills is where Cecil John Rhodes lies buried, but there is more. You must visit this place at one time. Amongst the rocks on the Matopo Mountains, you find a species of lizard which you don't find anywhere in Africa or the world. A species of lizard which responds to the call of a human being. When I first arrived in 1958 in the land called Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe, I found an African there who was a tourist attraction. He was a game warden who made strange sounds calling out. And as he called out, these strange lizards, the only type of lizard anywhere on earth which responds to the human voice, used to come out of cracks and out of holes in the ground and to gather around this African. And it was this African game warden who told me that the sounds he is making are not just noise. They are the speech of the Chitauri star gods.
Isn't it a staggering coincidence that Cecil Rhodes, one of the greatest Illuminati frontmen, perhaps of certainly of modern times, who did so much to imprison Africa should choose to be buried at the point where this is all going on.
You see, sir, Cecil John Rhodes wormed his way into the hearts of Africans, and in their despair, wise men of the Mashona people, wise men of Matebele people, tried to make Cecil John Rhodes one of them. They told him about the secrets of the Matopo Mountains, that under the Matopo Mountains lies a city of great wisdom, which is the home of the last survivors of the Chitauri god beings in that part of Africa. And if you go to the Matopo Mountains and you carry a 4-pound hammer and you strike certain parts of that landscape with that hammer, it gives out a hollow sound which shows you that there are caverns deep underground there. There are two sets of mountains. There is the Matopo Mountains, and then to the east of Zimbabwe, there are the great mountains known as the Inyangani, the Weeping Moon Mountains. There, even now, people disappear without trace. Sometimes a person would disappear for several days and reappear a few days later, not knowing where he had been or where she had